In the heart of the land, surrounded by lush forests and flowing rivers, lay the prosperous kingdom of Umudike. The people of Umudike were proud of their rich culture and strong traditions. Their ruler, King Obiora, was known for his wisdom and prosperity, yet he hid a dark secret that would soon bring ruin upon his kingdom. One day, a healer from a neighboring village arrived at the palace, seeking an audience with the king. He was accompanied by his beautiful daughter, Amora, who was known for her gentle spirit and healing hands. King Obiora was instantly taken by Amora's beauty, and instead of requesting her further services, he commanded that Amora stay in the palace as his personal caretaker. Grateful to serve the king, the healer had no choice but to obey. Amora, now bound to the palace, began her duties with devotion. She brought herbal medicines, prepared soothing teas, and used her knowledge to keep the king healthy. However, King Obiora's intentions were not pure. Under the guise of needing care, he demanded Amora's presence in his private chambers, where he slowly broke down the walls of trust she had. He would ask her to touch him under the pretense of healing, turning her kindness into a weapon against her. Amora, feeling helpless yet bound by loyalty, dared not speak of what transpired behind the palace doors. She feared the wrath of the king, who held the power to destroy her family. As weeks turned into months, the light in her eyes began to fade. The once vibrant healer's daughter became a shadow of herself, haunted by the king's demands. The palace servants noticed the change but kept silent, fearing the king's wrath. One evening, as the sun set behind the palace walls, Chima, the royal advisor, stumbled upon Amora weeping in the garden. Suspicious of the king's intentions, Chima questioned her, but she refused to speak out of fear. Yet Chima was no fool. He sensed a darkness lurking in the palace and decided to watch the king more closely. Unbeknownst to King Obiora, the spirits of the ancient forest were always watching. One night, while the king slept, a mysterious figure appeared in his dreams, a tall woman with eyes like fire and a voice like thunder. She was the guardian spirit of the forest, enraged by the king's abuse of power and betrayal of the innocent. She warned him, "You have taken what was pure and turned it into poison. For this, your kingdom shall suffer." The very next day, a strange illness swept through the kingdom. Crops withered, livestock died, and the once cheerful people became filled with despair. The healers tried every remedy, but nothing worked. King Obiora, desperate, called for Amora once again. But this time, she refused to enter his chambers. The spirit's curse had awakened something in her, a defiance born from her pain. In the throne room, surrounded by the kingdom's most powerful leaders, Amora finally spoke the truth. "The king has brought this curse upon us," she declared with trembling hands. "For he has betrayed the trust of the innocent and brought darkness to our land." Her words shocked the court, and the royal advisor, Chima, stepped forward to confirm her claims. The people gasped, but deep down, they knew there was truth in her words. The people of Umudike, once loyal to their king, turned against him. They demanded justice for Amora and for all the wrongs committed in secret. The king, now exposed and weakened, tried to command his guards to arrest Amora, but they hesitated. The royal advisor had already convinced the soldiers to side with the people. King Obiora fled to the depths of the palace, but the spirits had not forgotten his sins. That night, the guardian spirit appeared once more. "For your cruelty and betrayal, you shall live in the darkness you created," she decreed. The ground beneath the palace shook, and a chasm opened, swallowing the king into eternal darkness. His cries echoed, but no one came to his aid. With King Obiora gone, the kingdom slowly began to heal. The crops grew once more, and the people found joy in their lives. Amora, now free, used her healing powers to restore the land. In gratitude, the people of Umudike crowned her as the new leader, knowing she would bring light and justice to their land. As the years passed, the story of King Obiora's betrayal and the curse of the innocent became a legend told to children by the fireside. It served as a warning to those who would abuse their power and as a beacon of hope that even the darkest of secrets would one day be brought to light. Though Amora was crowned the new leader of Umudike, she carried the weight of the kingdom's suffering on her shoulders. The people trusted her, but she was constantly haunted by memories of the king's betrayal. As she walked through the village, she saw signs of the lingering effects of the curse. The soil was still dry in certain places, and some families continued to struggle. Determined to heal the land completely, she sought advice from the elders. One night, while meditating in the sacred grove, Amora was visited by the spirits of her ancestors. They appeared as glowing figures surrounded by swirling light, speaking in voices like distant thunder. The curse was broken, but its roots remain, one spirit said. To fully heal the land, you must find the sacred well deep within the forbidden forest. Only its waters can restore the kingdom's prosperity. Amora gathered a small group of loyal villagers, including Chima, the wise royal advisor, and Afolabi, a skilled hunter known for his bravery. They ventured into the dense, mysterious forest. The air was thick with mist, and the sound of unseen creatures echoed around them. As they pressed on, the group encountered ancient symbols carved into the trees, warning travelers to turn back. But Amora was determined. She knew that turning back now would mean condemning her people to further suffering. Deep within the forest, the group came upon an enchanted clearing guarded by 3 powerful spirits. Each spirit took the form of a beast, a lion, a serpent, and an eagle, representing strength, cunning, and foresight. To reach the sacred well, you must prove yourself worthy, the lion roared. The first trial tested Amora's courage, forcing her to face her deepest fears. The serpent's trial required Chima to use his wisdom to solve an ancient riddle, while Afolabi used his agility and strength to defeat the eagle's challenge. After overcoming the trials, the group finally reached the sacred well, hidden beneath the roots of an ancient baobab tree. The water sparkled like liquid silver, glowing with an otherworldly light. As Amora approached, the spirit of the guardian woman who had cursed the king appeared once more. "You have proven yourself, Amora," she said. "But to heal the land, you must give a part of yourself." Amora did not hesitate. She pricked her finger and let a single drop of blood fall into the well. Instantly, the water began to glow brighter, pulsing with life. The group filled their jars with the sacred water and hurried back to the kingdom. As they sprinkled the water over the fields, a miraculous transformation began. The soil darkened with fertility, crops began to sprout, and the rivers that had dried up started to flow again. The people of Umudike rejoiced, dancing in the streets and singing songs of gratitude. Amora stood among them, a symbol of hope and resilience. As the kingdom began to flourish once more, whispers spread that the spirit of King Obiora had been seen wandering the outskirts of the kingdom, now a tormented soul cursed to live in shadows. Some villagers claimed to hear his anguished cries at night, begging for forgiveness. Amora, though filled with compassion, knew that his punishment was just. She decreed that anyone aiding the former king would face exile, ensuring that the kingdom would not fall into darkness again. To celebrate the full restoration of the land, Amora declared a grand festival to honor the spirits and ancestors who had guided her. The people of Umudike gathered in the village square, dressed in vibrant traditional attire. Drums echoed through the night as they danced around a massive bonfire. Children laughed, and elders shared tales of the old times, grateful for the new era of peace and prosperity. Amora, standing at the center of the celebration, reflected on how far she had come. As the kingdom's prosperity grew, neighboring rulers began to take notice of Amora's wisdom and strength. Suitors from distant lands came bearing gifts, seeking her hand in marriage. However, Amora was cautious, fearing that accepting a foreign alliance might bring new troubles to her people. She consulted with Chima, who advised her to follow her heart and prioritize the well-being of the kingdom above all else. During the festival, a mysterious old woman appeared, dressed in rags and bearing a cryptic warning, "Beware of the ones who come bearing gifts, for shadows often hide behind gold." As quickly as she appeared, the woman vanished into the night, leaving Amora with a sense of unease. Chima believed it was a message from the spirits, warning them of future threats. The following morning, as Amora and her advisors discussed the old woman's warning, scouts rushed into the palace, reporting an army approaching from the north. A neighboring kingdom, envious of Umudike's newfound prosperity, had decided to strike. Amora, Chima, and Afolabi quickly rallied the kingdom's warriors, preparing to defend their land. The battle was fierce, with the enemy army vastly outnumbering Umudike's defenders. But the people fought bravely, inspired by Amora's leadership. In the midst of the chaos, Amora wielded the sacred water like a weapon, turning the tide in their favor. The guardian spirit once again appeared, her presence empowering the warriors with supernatural strength. By dusk, the invaders were driven back and the kingdom was saved. Following the victory, Amora extended a hand of peace to the defeated kingdom, offering them a chance to join forces under a new alliance. The rulers, impressed by her mercy and strength, accepted. This union brought about a new era of cooperation and prosperity across the land. As peace settled over Umudike, Chima fell gravely ill, having been poisoned during the battle. Despite Amora's best efforts to heal him, the royal advisor knew his time was near. On his deathbed, he gave Amora one final piece of advice: never let power blind you as it did King Obiora. Remember to always rule with love and wisdom. His death was a great loss, but his spirit continued to guide her. Amora ruled Umudike for many years, becoming a legend in her own time. Under her guidance, the kingdom grew into a beacon of peace, knowledge, and prosperity. She became known as Amora the Just, the ruler who had turned a cursed land into a paradise. As she grew older, she began training the next generation of leaders, ensuring that her legacy would live on. When her time came, Amora peacefully passed away surrounded by her people, who mourned her like a beloved mother. On the night of her burial, the sky was filled with stars, and the spirits of the forest sang a haunting melody as they welcomed her into the spirit world. The kingdom of Umudike would forever remember her as the queen who brought them from darkness into light. Days after the new alliance was formed, a mysterious stranger arrived in Umudike. He was dressed in a dark cloak, his face partially hidden beneath a hood, and carried an aura of secrets. He requested a private audience with Queen Amara, claiming to possess knowledge that could further secure her kingdom's prosperity. Though Chima's death had left her without her trusted advisor, Amora decided to hear him out, cautiously curious about what he had to say. In the dimly lit throne room, the stranger revealed himself to be a messenger from a distant land ruled by the feared Shadow King. He warned Amora of a prophecy. The Shadow King sought to claim Umudike's newfound prosperity for himself and was preparing an army to conquer it. The stranger offered Amora a mystical artifact, an amulet that could shield her from the Shadow King's dark magic, in exchange for safe passage through her kingdom. Amora hesitated, sensing a hidden agenda. She knew that accepting gifts from strangers often came with unseen strings attached. Yet, with Chime gone and Afolabi away on a diplomatic mission, she had no one to turn to for advice. Torn between trusting the stranger and protecting her kingdom, she decided to consult the village elders. Under the canopy of the ancient meeting tree, Amora sought the counsel of the village elders. The wisest among them, Elder Neka, warned that the Shadow King was known for his deceit and treachery. "Beware of gifts that glitter," she said, her voice tinged with caution. "For they may hide a serpent's bite." Another elder suggested that the amulet could indeed be useful but advised performing a purification ritual to cleanse it of any potential dark magic. That night, Amora gathered the village's spiritual leaders to perform the ritual. They chanted ancient incantations around the sacred fire, with the amulet placed at the center. As the flames flickered, the air grew cold, and a dark mist began to seep from the amulet. Suddenly, The spirit of the guardian woman who had helped Amora before appeared, warning her that the amulet was cursed. Trust only the strength within you, not the false promises of outsiders, the spirit urged before vanishing. The next morning, scouts brought alarming news. Villages on the outskirts of Umudike were being attacked by soldiers clad in black armor. These were the Shadow King's forces, testing the kingdom's defenses. Amora quickly mobilized her warriors, but she knew that defeating the Shadow King would require more than physical strength. She had to find a way to break his influence before he reached the heart of Umudike. As the kingdom braced for battle, Afolabi returned from his diplomatic mission. He had heard of the Shadow King's approach and brought back critical information. The Shadow King's power stemmed from a forbidden pact with dark spirits. The only way to defeat him was to sever his connection to the spirit realm. However, doing so would require a powerful relic hidden deep within the mountains of the moon. Amora decided to undertake the perilous journey to find the relic. She chose Afolabi and a handful of her bravest warriors to accompany her. The journey was fraught with dangers, treacherous cliffs, raging rivers, and strange creatures that lurked in the shadows. At one point, the group encountered a cave filled with ancient carvings depicting the moon goddess and the relic they sought, a silver crescent-shaped dagger said to cut the ties between the living and the spirit world. Upon reaching the peak of the mountains, Amora and her group faced the final trial set by the moon goddess herself. A spirit in the form of a radiant woman appeared, testing Amora's resolve. "Why do you seek the power to sever the spirits?" she asked. Amora, with sincerity, explained her desire to protect her people from the darkness that threatened them. Impressed by her selflessness, the moon goddess granted her the relic but warned that using it would come at a great cost. Returning to Umudike, Amora found the kingdom under siege. The Shadow King's forces had grown bolder, and they were now laying waste to the outer defenses. With the relic in her possession, Amora stood at the front lines, rallying her people. The moonlight glinted off the silver dagger as she raised it, invoking the power of the moon goddess. The ground trembled, and a powerful gust of wind blew through the battlefield, disorienting the enemy soldiers. As the battle raged, Amora faced the Shadow King himself. He was a towering figure cloaked in darkness, his eyes glowing with malice. "You think you can stop me, little queen?" he taunted, his voice echoing like distant thunder. Amora held the crescent dagger tightly, knowing this was her only chance. The Shadow King summoned dark spirits to aid him, but with a swift slash of the dagger, Amora severed his connection to the spirit world. The dark spirits screamed and dissipated into the night. Though the Shadow King was defeated, the use of the relic drained Amora's life force. She collapsed to the ground, her strength waning. The villagers and warriors who had witnessed her victory rushed to her side, but they could see that the battle had taken a toll. As she lay weakly in Afolabi's arms, Amora smiled, knowing she had saved her kingdom once more. The guardian spirit appeared, offering her a choice, to live on as a mortal ruler or to join the spirits as an eternal protector of Umudike. Choosing to protect her people for eternity, Amora accepted the spirit's offer. As the villagers watched in awe, her body began to glow with a radiant light. She ascended into the sky, becoming a celestial guardian who would watch over Umudike forever. The people celebrated her sacrifice, knowing that their queen had become their eternal protector. Statues were erected in her honor, and the story of Queen Amara the Just would be told for generations to come. With Amora's ascension, the people of Umudike were left without a ruler. Though her spirit now watched over them, there was no one to guide them in the physical realm. A sense of uncertainty swept through the kingdom. Afolabi, who had been by Amora's side for so long, was overwhelmed by grief. Yet, the people turned to him, hoping he would take up the mantle of leadership. In the days that followed, Afolabi struggled to fill Amora's shoes. He was a skilled warrior, but he lacked her wisdom and the natural charisma that had won the people's hearts. The village elders urged him to take the throne, but Afolabi hesitated, haunted by the memories of his fallen queen. He knew he could never replace her. However, with growing threats from neighboring kingdoms sensing weakness in Umudike, Afolabi had no choice but to accept the role temporarily. Not everyone in Umudike was pleased with Afolabi's ascension. A faction led by a wealthy nobleman named Okoro began to spread whispers among the people. Okoro claimed that Afolabi was unfit to rule, especially since he was merely a warrior, not of royal blood. Tensions began to rise in the streets as villagers debated who should truly lead them. The seeds of discord were being sown, threatening to undo all the unity Amora had fought for. Just as Umudike seemed to be on the brink of internal conflict, word spread that a long-lost prince of the royal bloodline had returned. Prince Kanu, the son of Amora's predecessor who was thought to have died years ago, appeared at the gates of Umudike. He was greeted with both suspicion and excitement. Claiming to have been in hiding after a failed assassination attempt, Kanu declared his rights to the throne. The people were torn between loyalty to Afolabi and the allure of a true heir. To prove his loyalty to the kingdom, Prince Kanu proposed a grand festival to honor Queen Amora's legacy and show his commitment to preserving her vision for Umudike. Afolabi, wary of Kanu's sudden return but recognizing the need to keep the peace, agreed to the festival. However, behind the scenes, Okoro conspired with Kanu, hoping to use the event to weaken Afolabi's hold on power. On the eve of the festival, Afolabi received an unexpected visitor, a young woman named Nena, who claimed to have been sent by the spirits. She carried a message from Amora, warning Afolabi of a betrayal that would take place during the festival. Though skeptical, Afolabi could not ignore the possibility that Amora was still guiding him. He decided to keep a close watch on Kanu and Okoro. The grand festival began with music, dancing, and feasting in the palace courtyard. The villagers, dressed in their finest traditional attire, celebrated the memory of Queen Amara. Prince Kanu dazzled the crowd with gifts and promises of prosperity. However, Afolabi remained vigilant, scanning the crowd for any signs of treachery. As the sun set and the festivities reached their peak, Nena slipped through the crowd, keeping an eye on Okoro. Just as the festival was reaching its climax, Nena spotted Okoro and Kanu speaking in hushed tones near the palace gates. Realizing that the betrayal Amora warned of was imminent, she quickly found Afolabi. Together, they confronted the conspirators in front of the gathered villagers. In a dramatic reveal, Nena accused Okoro of plotting to assassinate Afolabi and seize power. With the villagers watching, Afolabi ordered the arrest of Okoro and Prince Kanu. However, Kanu pleaded for mercy, claiming he had been manipulated by Okoro's greed. The village elders debated what to do. Some called for execution to prevent further betrayal, while others urged for mercy to prevent more bloodshed. In the end, Afolabi chose to exile Okoro, while allowing Kanu to prove his loyalty through a dangerous mission to protect the kingdom. With the betrayal averted, the people of Umudike began to rebuild their trust in Afolabi's leadership. The kingdom, once on the brink of collapse, slowly found stability again. Nena was appointed as a spiritual advisor, guiding Afolabi with wisdom she claimed to receive from the spirit of Amora. The villagers, inspired by her presence, believed that their beloved queen was still watching over them. One night, as Afolabi stood alone on the palace balcony, gazing at the moonlit kingdom, a soft breeze brushed his face. In that moment, he felt Amora's presence. He heard her voice whispering in the wind, "Guide them well, Afolabi. My spirit will always protect Umudike." The moon shone brighter, bathing the land in a serene glow, as if affirming her promise. Years passed, and under Afolabi's guidance, Umudike flourished once more. He chose not to claim the throne for himself but to serve as a guardian of the kingdom until a true heir was ready. Nena, now known as the seer of Umudike, became a beloved figure, offering guidance and wisdom to the people. Together, they ensured that Amora's legacy of unity, courage, and compassion lived on.